G'day there, Sheilas and Drongos. This is your Australian boyfriend / husband Markee, back at it again with another /entitled parent story. Now today we're dealing with a couple of racists, so hold your horses, cause this is gonna get messy. My son's roommate has racist entitled parents. This happened a few years ago. I prefer not to reveal my ethnicity, but let's just say I'm half white and half dark, and look it, like an Oreo. My wife is so white, she might as well be pale blue. My son Nate looks like his mum, which has gotten me a few weird looks over the years, but he's mine. We were overjoyed when my son got into one of the best engineering schools in the country. He certainly had earned it with a 4.5 GPA, 33 on the ACT, 36 was the max, and a freak load of hard work. He's a smart kid. So the big day came and we drove 20 hours to his college town to move him in as a freshman. It's the normal chaotic, hot freshman move in the day that every parent dreads. Tensions are high. We get his room assignment and get busy moving in. We got there before his roommate and Nate chose one side of the room. We're moving him in when his roommate, who we had conversed with via email a couple of times without incident and had shared pictures with, show up with his mum and dad. They step into this little room, and immediately their eyes are drawn to the large ethnic man standing in the room, me. Hesitantly, they look me over and look around the room. I'm used to that stare, but I ignore it and walk up to introduce myself. "Hi, I'm Bob," I said, and I hold out my hand. Dad looks at my hand for a second and hesitantly shakes it like it's a dead fish. Mom looks at me and looks at my son Nate. They say, "Is that your son?" I kinda raise an eyebrow. "I'm not hired help, lady." "Yes." "Your biological son? What the frick?" Now, I have a great poker face, but my wife of 20 plus years can sense the tension in my shoulders when I'm about to go off. Bless her heart. She puts her hand on my shoulder and introduces herself. That's my cue to go back and help Nate. Later on, I hear her whispering with her husband about her son having to room with a darkie. Insert bigoted term here. You have got to be kidding me. I wanted to go off on them. But I don't want to cause problems for my son, so I let it pass. Nothing much else happened, and we break for lunch. They're serving chicken, among other things, at the cafeteria, and we have lunch. Roommate and his parents sit nearby, but don't join us for lunch. We get wrapped up later that afternoon in his dorm, and we're about at the part where we're going to get misty-eyed, saying our goodbyes to our son. This is when entitled bigoted mum pops in. "You have to give me your contact information in case there's a problem between the children." "Children? My son is 19, and part of the purpose of college is to solve problems yourself. I'm not going to have to referee any potential issues with her. The kids have to solve it themselves. And you demand my contact information? I have to give you?" So I said, I think they can handle any problems themselves. I see out of the corner of my eye that the roommate is embarrassed as frick, while his dad is too much of a softie to do anything about it. "You need to give me your contact information." "No, if we need to get in touch, we give me your information." She screeched this last sentence at a volume usually reserved for jet engines and explosions. Now I'm really angry, but I ignore her and walk out. She starts screaming about this and runs down to where they're checking the students in, demanding a new room for her son. He won't give me his contact information, and in a lower voice, "He's a darkie." I'm watching her make a bigger and bigger scene, while her son is trying to both pull her away and crawl underneath the cement floor, and I don't blame him. She can't figure out whether it's a bigger problem than Nate might not be 100% ivory soap, or that I don't want to give her my phone number. The housing administrator comes over and politely informs her that there are no available rooms. There's a waiting list, and her other option is to move him off campus or unenroll him from the school. The admin isn't having any part of this temper tantrum, and the entire time the roommate is trying to get his mum to stop. He's just mortified, and she simply won't quit. Now, I'm vicious when I want to be, and I've had it at this point. She's been a bigoted, entitled piece of crap, and her husband has been enabling her behavior the entire time. So entitled mother is in tears, in the parking lot, and I walk by. It's time to put her in her place. I noticed at lunch that your son likes dark meat. Good thing, since Nate is gay. My son, who isn't gay but shares the exact same warped sense of humor as I do, starts laughing uncontrollably. His roommate, who already knows my son isn't gay, is also laughing his ass off. Entitled mother is now reduced to screaming incoherently in the parking lot, while the milquetoast husband is trying to comfort her. She eventually ran into the dorm again, demanding a change, and created such a scene. No contact information, a minority and a gay to boot. Oh my god, the horror! The horror! That the housing admin called campus security to escort her off campus. Postscript, Nate and his roommate got along famously and lived together all 4 years in college. Their nicknames for each other were White Meat, Roommate, and Dark Meat, Nate, which no one could figure out since Nate is actually lighter than his roommate. We got the rare chance to see Nate while at school. White Meat always went with us to dinner. I like that kid, and he's still friends with Nate to this day, but we never had another conversation with his parents ever again. And our next story is posted by NannyLynn62. I know who that is. Shout out to Nanny Lynn, good to see ya. Love you. The last piece of chocolate cake. In the mid-90s, my sister and I had already taken our kids to a fundraiser at their grade school. There were game and craft booths in the gym, and in the cafeteria, they were selling cake and ice cream. Homemade cake slices on little paper plates. This was only $1 and awesome. I was ahead of my sister and managed to grab the last pieces of chocolate cake they had. Now, both my sister and I think that if you're going to go to the trouble of making cake, then it had to be chocolate. Other things of cake are okay, but chocolate is the ultimate. We even had a rating system for cake, 1 through 10, with 10 being the best. And if it was me deciding, 10 would be that kid in Matilda eating the chocolate cake, just being forced to shove it down his throat. My sister wasn't all that happy that there was no more chocolate cake, but I got there first, so nah. Because of this, she didn't bother getting cake for herself. We found a place to sit down, and I put my precious cake on the table in front of me. Almost immediately, this strange lady reached for my cake. She had to have been following me closely. I quickly moved it to the left of me, out of her reach, and gave her a "What the hell, lady? Look." The lady said, "My son wants this. There's no more chocolate ones up there." She actually stepped over to where she could reach for it again, and I slid the cake over to my right, in front of my sister, again out of the lady's reach. I said, "No, this is mine. I paid for it. Go get your own." This lady then got angry. "My son doesn't like the other kinds there." She pointed to a kid that looked about 4 or 5 that was sniffling sadly behind her. "Just give it to me." Once again, she reached for it, and my sister picked it up and held it away from her. Then my sister asked, "This cake here? You want this piece of cake right here?" The angry lady then said, "Yes, don't be stupid. My son wants it. You can get another piece. Now hand it to me." For a moment, I thought my sister was going to throw the cake at the angry lady, or pick it up and put the plateless cake in the lady's hand. But what happened next was worse. My sister licked the top of the cake a couple of times. The angry lady stared at her in shock, disbelief for a few seconds, then began shouting insults. She called my sister childish and immature, while the kid standing behind the woman began to wail and sob loudly. Then the lady stomped off into the crowd, dragging her crying son with her. My sister then turned to face me, smiled, and held the cake out to me. I silently stared at her with one eyebrow raised, then made no move to take it. "Oh, you don't want it either now?" she asked sweetly. I remained staring at her and didn't reply. She grinned and said, "Cool, I'll take it." She then proceeded to happily eat my chocolate cake, making it a point to tell me how good it was. She said, "I think this might be a 9, but that might be the victory flavoring it." That sister really is an evil genius, guys. Anyway, that is the end of the episode today. For those of you guys that think that these 10-minute episodes kind of suck and you want longer ones, I'm just going to make playlists for all the individual categories, and then just a playlist for everything that I'm recently uploading. You can listen to just strings of videos if you like. Anyway, this has been Markee, your Australian husband, Jesus. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.